Hello, and welcome to another episode of Fibre Mates. My name is Gay, and you have found my YouTube channel where I highlight the Australian fibre community and bring that to the world. I'm a tech editor and avid knitter living in Melbourne, Australia. Welcome or welcome back. I'm so happy that you found my channel. Normally I have a couple of types of episodes. I will do interviews with various people who are in the Australian fibre community. I sometimes have episodes where I show my finished objects and whips and interesting yarns that I've acquired. But today we are having a technique deep dive. This is something that was new this year and was something that evolved from conversations that I had with Susanna Kaartinen, who is the brain and or the brains behind Susanna and Co. If you haven't seen her designs, please go check her out. I will put a link in the description box below to her Ravelry. So Susanna and I thought it would be really nice this year to have some technique deep dives. And today, the technique deep dive is about yarn composition, yarn construction, and how those things impact on your choice when you are substituting yarns. I went up to see Susanna. We sat down and recorded, and by the time we finished, I saw that I had over 2 hours of recording. So what I have done, rather than subject you to 1 2-hour podcast, is that I've broken it up into 3 sections, and I'll release each one over the next week or 2, I think. We'll see how I go with editing. So today's episode is all about yarn composition, so different types of fibers. And I hope you enjoy this in-depth discussion and it keeps you company while you're knitting. So grab a cuppa and you're crafting and settle in for a really nice chat.
We're laughing already. This is a great stuff.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Fibre Mates. My name is Gay, and I'm here today with Susanna Kaartinen.
Hello.
Hi, Susanna.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm looking forward to our little chat today.
Fantastic. Before we get started, I'm just going to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting, the Tongarong people of the Kulin Nation, and pay my respects to their elders, past and present. Welcome everybody, or welcome back if you're a return viewer. Today we are here for another technique deep dive. We're going to talk today about all about yarn construction, different fibers, and how that plays into substitution of yarn for various patterns. Are you ready?
I hope so.
I hope so too.
Let's find out.
We've got a 5-page outline for you to put into an hour-long episode. So
yeah, there's a lot of ground to cover.
There's a huge amount of ground to cover. This topic could probably be a 3-part.
Easily, or even more. Every section could be a whole episode and then some.
Yeah, so before we get started, I actually need to just correct some misinformation from my last episode. I said that a pole merino was a cross between a Polworth and a merino, but that's not accurate. So thank you to the viewer Rosie at home who filled me in on the fact that a pole merino is simply a merino sheep that has been specifically bred to not have horns.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that term can be used with other breeds as well.
The pole?
Yeah.
Oh, that just means hornless.
Yeah, yeah.
I found it really difficult to actually find information about even from AI about what
it means.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, it's not a super common term or familiar for me either. But.
There you go. There you go. All right. So a roadmap of where we're going today. We're going to start with yarn construction. And then talk about yarn weights, and then some considerations about substituting yarns in different projects.
And I think what we're actually going to start with is fibre.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think
Last
we probably need to start there.
Yeah,
I think because
just very briefly go through different fibres that are commonly used in knitting yarns and how that affects the yarn and what qualities it brings to the yarn.
Yeah.
So maybe start with that and then work our way through to other topics.
Yeah. Should we start with wool? Or
Right.
do you want to end with wool?
Maybe we'll start with wool because I
Okay.
think wool is probably for most knitters the fibre that we use the most. Or maybe that's just my personal bias. I work with wool a lot. That's my preferred, or animal fibres in general.
Wool, alpaca, same. I've got one cotton project on the go. I'm thinking about frogging, but that's for another episode.
Yeah, and I think in general we will be focusing more on wool and animal fibre yarns.
But when you talk about wool, there's so many different permutations. So like this is a Perendale yarn versus a merino yarn.
So this is where it all kind of ties together. Every yarn has these different characteristics of what's the fibre, what's the construction, what's the weight, and the combination of those three categories is what actually makes the yarn and gives it the quality. So it's not any one thing.
And for example, I think this is a DK weight yarn, but this one is that fingering?
That's a 4-ply fingering weight single spun.
Is that a DK?
I think that might be bulky actually.
Which is interesting because if you look at it and just compare it, I'm gonna hold it against you can kind of, I guess you can see this is slightly thicker.
And here's another one that's a DK 8-ply weight yarn, and this is more of a worsted spun. So we're already throwing in all the terms.
I know.
Which we will be talking about.
I know, we should have, how do we have a glossary? Maybe I'll put some glossary of terms in the show notes. But these two DK weight yarns, because of how they're constructed, might act differently.
Yeah. And then when we're talking about just wool for now, when you have a really smooth yarn structure, you get a very different look from something that's very rough, which is also same fibre but completely different results with knitting, obviously. And with wool there's all the different breeds, so this could be a whole episode of just the different breeds and how different the fibres are depending on the breed.
We've got a few breeds at this table. We've got Perendale, we have Merino, we've got Manchalope, we've got Icelandic
wool, we've got thin wool.
That's Cheviot.
Yeah, Cheviot, woolen spun merino.
I see an alpaca.
Shetland wool. And then when we go away from wool fibres, sheep, and there's alpaca, which is a pretty commonly used fibre, which we don't actually have any examples of right here.
Oh, is that one?
Do we?
Is that not alpaca?
Oh, actually, this is 50% alpaca, it's 50% wool. And alpaca does have slightly different properties to wool. So wool fibres in general, even though there are differences between the breeds quite a lot, it tends to be an elastic fibre. It usually has some kind of a crimp or curl structure in general, not all breeds. And that structure gives it the elasticity for the yarn as well. And alpaca tends to be less elastic, which means it has more drape, and it's also a heavier fibre than wool and slightly warmer, so the fibre itself is a little bit warmer than wool as well. So with alpaca you get more drape and less of that bouncy quality that knit fabrics from wool often have. Probably one of the common ones that I tend to go for as well is yak, but that's usually always in a blend.
Oh.
Like in this
Unhelpfully,
t-shirt
I
over
don't.
here. This is merino silk yak.
Unfortunately, I do have 100% yak.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't bring it.
I know that I didn't bring. I'll pop a photo here of it. It's. I've knit it into a shawl, and it's got a really drapey, a drapey quality to it.
Yeah.
So it feels like if alpaca and merino had a baby.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's got a bit of that bounce and memory, but it's also quite fluid and light.
Yeah.
It's a bit lighter than alpaca.
Yeah, I've never actually knit with 100%, so I can't actually say much about the qualities of yak fibre.
No, Larry brought some home on a trip. He was in Minnesota.
Nice.
Yeah, I know. Very thoughtful.
Good present. Mohair.
Yeah.
That's in the recent years that has been very popular. So mohair is creates a very fluffy yarn and is usually always combined with some other fibre, like our 2-ply lace weight mohair silk blends, which tend to be about 70-30, 70 mohair, 30 silk or thereabouts. And the silk definitely gives it the strength. Mohair brings the fluff. And we have a couple of other examples. Here's a 5-ply version of a mohair yarn. Has a little bit more body to it. And with mohair, because it is so fluffy, there's a little swatch there as well.
Yeah, it's from my Osmosis.
Oh, yes.
That I'm wearing. Designed by Susanna.
little plug.
Yeah.
The patterns in the Amirisu magazine that was published earlier this year. And as a general note about mohair, it does tend to, because it is so fluffy, knits up bigger than if you're looking at yarn weights and you're used to judging sort of the gauge based on what the yarn weight is, then mohair knits up like a thicker yarn because it is so fluffy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's a bit of a, not warning, but you've got to keep an eye on gauge.
Yeah, as a general rule, I tend to think of it as like I'll go one size up. So if you have a fingering merino, which is a very common combo, fingering weight merino and the 2-ply mohair together, they kind of knit up as a DK worsted type of situation in the same way as it would if you were just using a 4-ply merino held double. So that's kind of the general rule. If it's 2-ply, then I'll think of it as a 4-ply, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So with sport, I don't actually know. I can't remember what the gauge for that one was, but maybe it knits up.
I did get it in the swatch, but
whatever that is, probably like knits up gauge wise more like an 8-ply.
I reckon.
Probably.
I reckon.
Have to check that. And then another animal fibre is of course silk, which is I think mostly in knitting used as a blend, and it brings a lot of sheen and strength. It's a very strong fibre, but zero elasticity. So,
do you have 100% silk fibre?
I do.
Because I think you got it when we were together.
Yes. Do you want me to dig it out?
Yes. So silk yarn, you can get 100% silk fibre.
Such as,
is that spun? It looks kind of spun.
Yeah, I think it's a 2-ply.
Like a plied. Yeah.
Yeah.
beautiful color.
Yeah, this is from BC Garn.
I suppose that's a real silk would take up color quite vibrantly, I reckon.
Yeah, I think it does. Not an expert, but I think so, because it's got that sheen to it as well. And it tends to be quite a pure white to start with as well.
That's right.
And this one is 300 meters per 50 grams.
I reckon that's a true lace weight.
Saying 2 to 3 millimeter needle, 24 stitches. So it kind of sounds like a 4-ply kind of.
It's a 4-ply gauge, oddly enough.
Yeah, but it's not really a 4-ply.
I've not knit with full.
Kind of. Oops.
It looks a bit thinner.
Yeah, so I haven't knit with this yet. I have knit with 100% silk yarn before. I knit a scarf, and the drape is really nice.
Yeah.
That you get with it.
Yeah.
It turned out well.
Would it be more light? It would be obviously more lightweight as well than a alpaca of similar. I was thinking about what is the maximum drape fiber. You kind of your silk and alpacas.
And I think cotton and bamboo would be a very up there as well in terms of drape. But then with drape, it's not just the weight; it's also like how smooth the fiber is.
I don't know why.
And the elasticity. So there's like with drape as well. There's a few different things that are like contributing to it.
I know, and I hadn't even thought about cotton, and I don't know why I think of cotton as like thick.
Yeah, I guess in terms of like the fluidity of the fiber, silk would be more fluid than cotton.
Yeah, but bamboo, maybe
bamboo
you would
as well,
be very fluid.
Yeah. But with cotton, it doesn't have the elasticity, so there's like you get more of the drape, and because it's slippery, so the fibers are not sticking together.
Yeah,
and it doesn't stretch. It'll have the memory, so that kind of makes it drapey, but in a slightly different way. It's not as fluidly drapey. It's just I don't even, what would be the word for that?
Let's just call it drape.
Yeah, it's a general term. This is actually what I found when I was prepping for this episode, is that there's a lot of variables with everything.
So many.
And we've only just started talking about fibre, but I am noticing we're using all the terms that we're going to be explaining later, like talking about the different weights and the construction method. So I hope this is making sense already for everyone.
Stick with it.
Yeah.
And then you will get there in the end.
Yeah, you will.
We didn't mention linen.
Well, we haven't really talked about plant fibres specifically, but probably the most common ones would be cotton, linen and bamboo that knitters use. And there are lots of other fibres as well, but
I think bamboo can also, I'm pretty sure that tencel is made with bamboo fiber.
No, actually tencel is a type of rayon, and rayon is a wood fibre. And bamboo, I think, is a type of rayon, but it's specifically made with bamboo, and they do have slightly different qualities.
Was it lyocell?
Tencel and lyocell
are the same?
Same, yeah.
Okay.
And it's the more environmentally friendly way to process rayon. So, from my understanding, it is a type of rayon.
Okay.
But it's more environmentally friendly process.
Do you think that would act like nylon? Like, in a sock yarn, for example? Would it? Do you think that would?
I don't know. I don't know how much strength it adds. I have tested one sock yarn that had bamboo as a reinforcement, and that particular yarn wasn't very durable.
Okay.
But that could be a number of reasons, and not all tencel and bamboo are the same either. But yes, they are different, and they do have some different properties, which is probably the more essential bit of information. They do have slightly different properties. The biggest difference was that tencel tends to be stronger than bamboo, and specifically in a way that it doesn't lose its strength when it's wet.
The takeaway is maybe not for socks, but if you want a drapey shawl or a drapey t-shirt, then...
Or I've made a baby blanket with that was really, really nice with that was a bamboo cotton mix, actually. Really soft. And it brings a little bit softness to the cotton.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would make a nice drapey piece on the top, I think. So, and yeah, for me personally, I don't really enjoy knitting with plant fibers as much, specifically because they don't have elasticity. So they're a little bit harder on the hands because of that. But the one that I have knit with the most is linen. Mostly linen blends. I have done one scarf that was 100% linen, and the end result is beautiful. It's very like light and crispy, but it was a bit hard on the hands.
Yeah.
To knit, but I do love linen as a fibre otherwise, but for knitting I like the end result more than I enjoy the knitting. But linen and wool blends are beautiful.
Linen and wool blends are beautiful.
They're really beautiful to work with. So you kind of get a little bit of the coolness of the linen and the softness of the wool for I think it'll be great for like summer weight garments as well. But shawls is my experience with it. And there's a slightly sort of more rustic feel to the yarn with the linen and wool blends, and the colours tend to be a little bit softer because the linen takes up the dye differently, and usually you get a little bit of a
there's like that kind of
flecky,
grey or
kind of
taupe mushroomy type colour with the linen.
Yeah, there's like that undertone coming through, but also like these little bits of
like feathering.
Almost,
through the yarn. Yeah.
Here's an undyed 5-ply linen from Great Ocean Road Woolen Mill. It really shows that undertone quite well, doesn't it? Doesn't show how the flecky thing happens with the dyeing, but it feels quite sort of stiff on the skein, but it really softens up when you're working with it. And that's kind of what linen does anyway. It tends to soften with use.
I was just thinking, like, maybe it's a kind of fibre where you might want to wind it twice. Do you know some people wind their yarn twice? Like, they'll cake it and then cake it again. That might help too.
Yeah. Oh, a little side note, but I recently read, I haven't tested this, but the reason why you might want to re-cake yarn if you're storing it for a long time is that because it does stretch when it's caked, and the problem might actually happen after you have knit with the yarn that's been stretched, and then you block it, it'll actually shrink after blocking.
Oh, wow.
Because it goes back to its sort of natural shape that it wants to take, because it's so you're knitting it stretched. So then it sort of shrinks back.
And then it's I want to be this size, not this size.
Yeah. But I don't have personal experience with that. But that sounded like an interesting argument.
That is interesting.
Not related to the fibres now.
Totally not related to fibre.
Should we get but just a little side quest here?
If you double cake or double wind your yarn, put it in the comments and let us know why. Now I'm curious.
Because I actually haven't been doing that, and I've been avoiding winding yarn into cakes until I'm knitting it, so that's what I've been doing. I've been a bit lazy with the double winding.
I've never double wound. Yeah. I'm too impatient. I just want to start.
Yeah.
In fact, I generally will just wind one and like go until I need the next one.
Yeah, I've done that too. But at least that way you kind of get about the same amount of time the yarn is on the cake before you knit it.
True.
Which is kind of, I guess that could be ideal, because that could be another thing. Like if you use, in the same jumper, for example, like if you use yarn that's been sitting in the cake for a long time, one of them or half of them, and then you have the other half that's not.
Yeah.
Are they going to behave differently after blocking?
I know,
Like,
I
are you
hope
going to
not.
have one little sleeve?
Well, that's the thing. Like, if we advocate for swatching, obviously,
and blocking.
and blocking, but that could end up with your swatch being a different side. I think trying to emulate your swatch as much as you can from your knitting.
Yeah.
Is the
Yeah, true. If you're swatching with the yarn that's been.
Yeah.
But this is again not tried and tested. This is a new theory that I heard about quite recently. So, but interesting. If anyone does know it, if that really happens, let us know.
Please.
Always fun to learn new things.
How was that? I hope you really enjoyed this chat. I enjoyed recording it, and I'm sure Susanna did as well. If you enjoy the technique deep dives, there is a playlist on my YouTube channel homepage, and there's a couple of other ones. Susanna and I recorded a discussion on color confidence, and there's also a one on steeking that we did as part of the Alma Sweater Cow. Go and check those out. If you have I want to take the opportunity to mention the knit along or crochet along, make along I should call it, that I'm running with Karina Moore of Louie and Lola Yarns. And that is the Love Locale. And you can, the projects eligible for this make along are ones that are either knit or crocheted with yarn from Australia or New Zealand, and a design by an Australian or New Zealand designer. We're running the cow both on Ravelry and on Instagram. You can find the cow on Ravelry through the Louie and Lola community page. You can also tag myself and Karina on Instagram and use the hashtag LoveLocale with a K or a C. So I hope you join in with that. The theme for the month of September is speckles. So using a yarn that has some kind of speckle or variegation. And you might want to try the Perth socks by Kath Martin, who is a dear friend of mine, and she's just released a beautiful sock pattern that is great for speckled yarn. So that would be perfect, and you'll still have time to finish a couple of socks in the next few weeks to qualify. If you've enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing because it helps the channel reach more viewers. And until next week, when we have the next installment of this technique deep dive, I wish you happy knitting and happy crafting.